The DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is a superb piece of kit, but not just as an everyday vlogging camera either. It is incredibly versatile and can be used for many day-to-day content creation applications. But what makes it so good that even the pros will turn to it as their regular choice of a day-to-day behind-the-scenes type of camera? I've no idea, if I'm honest. I'm not a pro. And I nearly sent this thing back not long after getting it. Oh, why are you not working? Oh, come on. Slow. Oh, no. But I do now know that there are 6 things hidden away in this little pocket-friendly beast that you may not know about that will absolutely help to improve your experience with this camera. So here we go, with 6 features that you may not have known about that will improve your relationship with your shiny new camera. Plus a little bonus feature for you later on too. Keep watching and you'll see that one. So stick around as we dig into my DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And don't worry, I'm not going to say Osmo Pocket 3 every other sentence or abbreviate it. I don't need to do that. You already know what it is. You know what I mean? Okay, let's get on with it. So why did I nearly send this thing back then? Well, let me tell you. I'm a simple person and I like things to just work. I don't want to have to spend lots of time fiddling with settings, moving stuff around, getting the right frame rates. Let's just switch that on. I want to be able to switch the camera on. I want to be able to press record and for it to do what I'm expecting it to do. And I know this is pilot error on my part, not getting that quite right, but let me give you an example. I missed something that I really wanted to capture while we were out in Miami because this didn't behave in the way I was expecting it to, and it properly pushed me over the edge. Picture this, we're on one of those big bus tours, we're sitting on the top deck, we're on whatever road it is, there's a big Miami sign coming and we're about to go underneath it, and I wanted to get that nice shot of us going underneath and the camera capturing that sign as we pass through it. So I switched this thing on, I pressed go, and I moved it from there to there, and the gimbal didn't move. It didn't follow it, and I missed that sign, and it properly wound me up. Now, I'm sure some of you can relate to this. Middle-aged people, tech not behaving like you're expecting it to. If I'd have just used my phone, which was in my pocket, I could have hit that camera button, pressed record, and as I've tilted it, the camera has followed the viewfinder, the screen, to seeing what I was going to do. So I put this thing back. Sorry, I just bounced you up and down then. That's another thing about this. Apparently people moan that when you're walking you get this bobbing motion. Well, I don't see why that's such a big deal. So anyway, that frustrated me so much that I just put this thing back in its bag. I had it all boxed up ready to go and send it back. I was like, this just doesn't do what I want it to do. Okay, I was being impatient with it. So when we got back, I thought, no, I need to just figure this out, take a bit more time, be a bit more patient with it. And then I stumbled across the man, the crazy, little bit overexcitable James Loxton. I watched his video, I'm gonna link it below, and thank you, James. You solved my frustrations and inspired this little video of me putting together some hidden tips for everyone, so I appreciate that. So James, if you're watching, thank you, my man. That was a top video. New subscriber here, ace. So after figuring out those frustrations, what things did I find out? Well, here we go with number 1, and I genuinely hope that these little tips, tricks and hidden features can help you and your experience with this little camera, because like I said in the beginning, it is brilliant. Now I know what I'm doing with it. A little bit of time, a little bit of patience, that paid off. Here we go with number 1. All right, let's talk about the joystick then. How good is this thing? This joystick is in fact your actual best friend. There's some decent things we can do with this. Now, when I first got this, I couldn't, it would annoy me that the gimbal would move in directions that I didn't want it to. I've since solved that. But one of the things you can do if I'm wanting to record some B-roll maybe. So this joystick, right, rather than just moving the gimbal around, hopefully you can see that, which is good. This is what we want it to do. Once we've found something that we want to lock onto, I've got my AirPods here. So I'm going to lock onto these now, and I want to move the actual camera, but I want the gimbal to stay where it is. I look like I'm doing some weird dance. You just press and hold, and that gimbal stays. So press and hold, and the gimbal stays locked. Even though I'm moving the actual camera unit itself, this gimbal is pointing directly at you and isn't moving. So that point where you quickly just want to lock the gimbal in one place, press and hold the joystick. That's number one. Number two, if you swipe down into the menu screen, and then you go into a different menu. So I'm in gimbal control here. And maybe I just want to go back one menu. I don't want to come all the way out. And this little screen can be sometimes a little bit tricky to use. It's not quite as responsive. It's not an Apple touchscreen. It's not that responsive. I just want to go back one click, and I go back. One click again, and I'm all the way out. Well, there's some nice guitars up there. So one click, you'll come back one menu level, which is handy if you just want to come back one, find something else, go into that and come back out. Obviously, if you want to come all the way out, you can just hit the X and it'll bring you straight out. But if you just want to come back one level, one click of your joystick and you're done. Now I'm going to flick over to showing you on here, all right? So I'm going to turn it into selfie mode. So we flicked around. Oh, there you are. So face tracking has got me. I'm going to turn off face tracking now. I'm going to move that off to the side. So I've now changed the image completely. I've used the little joystick to move off to the side. But if I want to recenter this quickly on whatever it is I'm looking at, double tap. So double tap. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Double tap. There you are. We're back. So move it off. Double tap. Reset. It just recenters it. So quick double tap, you can recenter that. So let's flick you round so that you're looking at you. We'll pop the gimbal, the camera up too high. We want to recenter it. Double tap, recentered. Perfect, brilliant. And the next little trick you can do with the joystick is instead of fighting on the screen trying to push the selfie button, the thing that flips the whole camera around, I don't know if you can see that, it's just down here. It could be quite fiddly to press sometimes. Well, guess what? Your joystick is your friend here. 3 clicks and it flips. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It flips around. Want to go back again? 3 quick clicks. 1, 2, 3. We're back round the other way. 3 clicks. 1, 2, 3. Selfie mode. Face track, got that switched on. I'm going to come onto that tracking later on. Make sure you stick around and I'll talk you through this whole face track thing. And 1, 2, 3. And there's you looking at you. Ace, the joystick is your best friend here. Okay, number 2, and this is something that really bugged me and I really struggled with this to begin with. And that is making sure you're in the right gimbal mode to do what it is you want to do. So let me explain by what I mean by this. If we pull down from the top of the screen and you tap on the far right button here, gimbal modes, we've got some choices. Don't make the wrong one like I did. I've read the instructions here. So the first one, it says follow mode is suitable for most scenarios including vlogs and selfie videos. Well, sort of. Tilt lock. In tilt locked mode, the horizon line is level, which is suitable for scenarios with camera movements such as pushing in and pulling out. We want that horizon level. So as I move the camera, you see that the gimbal is staying level with the horizon. Tilt forwards, tilt back, but horizon level. Good. The next one, FPV. In FPV mode, camera rotates freely and follows device movement, which is suitable for creative shots. So as I move around, the gimbal follows movements, but the camera itself is a bit slow to follow. I'll come back to that in a second. And then the latest one, and this was updated with a firmware update. Locked, FPV locked. So follows around, the camera will point where you point the screen. Think about using your phone, right? You've got the camera on here, you've got the screen on the back. Wherever I point or aim my screen, that's where the camera's gonna go. That's what we're used to. This will now do that. So wherever I face the screen is where the camera is gonna go. And if I wanna make manual adjustments, I've got my joystick, we spoke about that a minute ago. So FPV locked, wherever I point the screen, that's where the camera will go. This is brilliant. This made a big difference for me. The second thing we want to look at is the speed, the rotational speed of the gimbal. The default setting says gimbal moves at a moderate speed which is suitable for most scenarios. It's not, it's too slow. Click on fast. Gimbal moves abruptly and creates screen shake effect which is suitable for capturing fast moving subjects. Yes, it's suitable for capturing fast-moving subjects. No, it doesn't move abruptly, and no, it doesn't create screen shake. It is great for quickly tracking things if you need to, and if you're gentle with it, there's no abrupt movement at all. I don't know what they're talking about. Slow. Well, yeah, too slow. Click it on fast. One click out of that. Tap on the FPV gimbal mode. Put it into FPV locked. Tap out of that. Tap all the way out of that. Wherever you point your camera, wherever you point the screen, that's where the camera is going to follow. And there's no screen shake or abrupt movement. It's very good. Now, if you're enjoying this video, you're getting something from it, consider giving it a thumbs up, hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future tech, travel-y, vloggy style videos of some middle-aged bloke stumbling about with gear, not knowing really what he's doing, but trying to get the most out of it. And as I stumble across tips and little features, I'm 100% going to pass those on to you. Anyway, right, back to the good stuff. Okay, so once you've got your gimbal set to where you want it to be, the next thing to do to keep tracking or keep hold of an object, you just choose whatever it. Point the screen at the object you want, double tap the object. Active track is now enabled, which means that within reason, wherever we move the camera, wherever we move the unit itself, the camera will stay locked on that object. And if the camera stays still, but that object moves, the camera will follow it. Let's get that thing locked back on the, hold on, active track. See the gimbal moving as I move my hand across? Active tracking, brilliant. And when you flip it around into selfie mode, 3 clicks, remember. Active track, or now face track is enabled, which means as I move and I move the camera, it's still going to follow me. So remember what I said about use the right gimbal mode for your use case. I firmly believe that setting it to fast in FPV locked, so the camera goes where the screen goes, and making good use of that active track or face tracking, depending on selfie mode or normal, is going to solve a lot of aggro or frustrations in this thing not doing quite what you think it's going to do. And then once you've got that set up, you can just save it as a preset so you don't need to worry about it. It's very good. And then once you've saved that preset, when you switch it back on, it will just load it straight up and you're good to go. It's easy and simple. All right, now as we know, if we flip this little screen up, it's going to power on. If we flip this screen down, it powers off straight away. Brilliant. Press the record button, it powers on. Press the record button again, it powers off. Simple. But it's not that simple because I've had to change a couple of things to do this. So by default, when I flip this screen down, it would come up with a 2-second message and then it would turn off. I've changed that. How did I do it? Let me show you. Okay, so this is the default setting. So we flip the screen, we power on, we flip the screen to power off, it comes up with a 2 seconds, and then it powers off. So to change that, flip up your screen, scroll down from the menu, the top, press this bottom left hand button here, You then need to scroll until you see rotate screen to power off. You can't see that very well, I'll try and overlay this in a second. You press rotate screen to power off. Currently it's set to 2 seconds. I changed it to now. You can also change it to never. I don't know why you'd do that. Change it to now. 1 click to come back a menu. Another click to come back to the main settings menu. So we went into the settings menu to get into the settings menu. It's just really weird that. And 1 more click. We're all the way out. Now if I flip the screen down, it turns off straight away. Why would you not want it to turn off straight away? Now you may be thinking, ah yes, but Tim, if you flip the screen round, it changes to filming vertically, so we can post to Instagram and TikTok and Facebooks, MySpace and Bebo, if you remember those things. But when we do that, it crops the image down, the resolution gets reduced. So why would you want to compromise the resolution? Why would you want to reduce that when you could just turn it like that and record vertically? Let me show you. Let me turn the camera on first, that would help, right? So I'm here, I'm pointing at you, I'm going to turn it vertically. Now I'm shooting vertically in 4K. Why would you not just do that? Flip the screen, power's off. There you go. Okay, so at the beginning of the video I promised you a little bonus tip, and here it comes. On the screen in the top right, I'll do a close-up of this so you can see it properly because it's very small. There's a little battery indicator, which is great, it's very handy. However, it's not that accurate. What I'd like to see, or what we want to be able to see, is the actual percentage of battery power left. It doesn't show that. Actually it does. If you just tap the battery, the percentage comes up on the screen. So if you're unsure, if it's looking a little bit low and you need a bit more of an accurate guide, just tap that battery, up it pops. Currently mine says 41%, but it doesn't look like 41% from the little indicator. Anyway, there you go, bonus feature, you're welcome. Let's move on. Now I keep telling you how good this camera is once you've figured out a few little tips and tricks. That's the point of this video. I want to be able to give you my lessons learned so you don't have to suffer with those same pitfalls and the frustrations that I had. One thing to remember is though, if you just buy the camera on its own, it doesn't come with a microphone. It does come with a microphone actually. It comes with 3 of them, they're all built in, which is great and they're perfectly usable, fine, all good stuff. However, to take your audio up a level, I'm going to suggest you invest in DJI's own microphone. So the Mic 2, if you buy the Creator Combo, it comes with one of these. Now I actually have 2, I've got one on here and I got one here, and I can connect both of these microphones to this camera if I wish. I'm going to do that in some other videos. And why have I got 2? Well, let me tell you a little story very quickly here. I'm going to liken audio to a gym, because I live in a gym quite a lot. You could have the shiniest, flashiest, most up-to-date, modern, everything in there, fancy gym going, but if the bathroom is dirty, your gym is rubbish. And everyone's going to talk about your dirty bathroom, not your fancy gym. So what do? You clean the bathroom. If your bathroom is nice and clean, no one will mention it, but that's good. We don't want anybody to mention it. Audio is like that, it's the same. It doesn't matter how fancy a production video you make, editing tricks, fancy lighting. I haven't got fancy lighting, I've got cheap lighting from Amazon because that's what Amazon's for. Anyway, it doesn't matter how fancy your video is, if the audio is rubbish, that is immediately noticeable. And I don't know about you, but that actually puts me off from watching videos if the audio's that bad. So then spend some money and get some decent mics. That's what I do, and we can connect, like I said, this one via Bluetooth, 2 of them. So why have I got 2? Well, before I bought this, I had an old GoPro. I wanted to be able to move away from it. To record some videos in the gym. The microphone built in just wasn't up to scratch, so I bought that. There was a little adapter, I could plug them in together, and that solved my audio problem. So that's why I have 2. You don't necessarily need 2, but if you're going into big content creation stuff, you can have 2 people talking at the same time, but that's for another video. So audio, internal is good, external is ace, double external, amazing. Okay, so we're in the gym, and right now you should be able to see behind me, these lights up here are flickering a little bit. Now this camera's got a little trick on it where we can set the frequencies to try and dial that out, and we can either do it manually or we can do it with the auto setting. Typically I'll use auto, but depending on where you are in your use case application, you might want to set it manually. So we're going to drop into settings now, and I'm going to try and dial out this little flickering that's going on, and hopefully you'll see the difference. So let's just try it. Let's go manual first. Okay, there we go. So manually, I've just adjusted it from 60 to 50, and you can see that these lights are not flickering now, so that's good. So now we're going to flick it over to auto, and we'll see if that does the same thing. It should do. In fact, I know it does, but for the purposes of this, I'm going to show you anyway. So let's jump straight in. Okay, so to access these anti-flicker settings, pull down from the top of the screen. We hit this bottom left-hand button, and then we scroll until we get to, aptly named, it's very obvious, it's called anti-flicker. And as you can see, I've got it set to auto. That's how I always run it. I just let the camera do the work, but we can change that. We can go 50 Hertz, and we can go to the 60 Hertz, or we can go to full auto. So changing that, pull down from the screen, bottom left-hand button, takes us into the settings, the settings. There's two settings menus, a bit weird. Anti-flicker, 50 Hertz. We can come out of this two ways. We can press the joystick 1, 2, 3 times. It takes us back to that screen. Pull down, bottom left-hand button, scroll until we get to anti-flicker, 60 Hertz. This time we can come out completely in one go by pressing the little X at the top right of the screen. And then to go full auto, pull down, bottom left-hand button into the settings. Weird, there's two different menus. Two different settings menus. You go into the settings menu to go into the settings menu. Hit that anti-flicker again, scroll, auto, all sorted. And we can come out, press that X, or use that joystick. Remember, the joystick is your friend. There we go, anti-flicker, doing the job as well. So now I just leave it at that. So next time you walk into a room and you see those lights flash in load, you can either adjust it manually or just flick it onto auto, and it's going to do the heavy lifting for you. So there we go. So there you have it, 5 very simple tips and tricks that hopefully will help you to alleviate any of those initial frustrations when you first get your DJI Osmo Pocket 3 camera. Don't fall into the same traps. Like I said at the beginning, I very nearly boxed this thing back up and sent it back because I just couldn't get it to do what I want it to do. But I persevered with it, and I found all these little tips and tricks. Before you go, if you're interested to know 5 hidden tips and tricks about the DJI Action 5 Pro action camera, you can click that video here, where I'll run through some quick tips on how I've made the most of that camera as well. As ever, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.